for finance. Well, our business editor Henry Githaiga did speak to economist Ken Gishinga on the measures needed to keep the economy going. Let's listen into that conversation.
It's Ken Gishinga from Mentoria to talk about some of the challenges that the economy is facing and what kind of stimulus we need for the economy to rebound. So welcome very much, Ken. The first question would be, this is not Uhuru's first rodeo. When he was the Minister of Finance, he had to face a similar situation where he had to stimulate the economy. Can you tell us a bit more about that and whether those measures worked?
Indeed, the economic stimulus plan is not new to Kenya. The first time it was implemented was in 2009. And at that time, the Kenyan economy had taken a beating. It had gone from 7.1% growth to about 1.7% growth, largely driven by the post-election violence of 007, 08, but also the global economic recession, the global financial crisis, and also we had seen a rally in the oil prices. So all these things had come together to slow down the Kenyan economy. At that point, the package was about 22 billion shillings, and much of that money was, at that time, President Uhuru Kenyatta was the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. So with a package of 22 billion shillings, a raft of initiatives were put in place. Number one, we saw construction of schools, construction of markets, we saw cleaning of markets, because there had been a lot of distraction in those, especially in the hotspot areas. So it was more of a reconstruction budget. And the economy actually rebounded the next year to about 8.2%, one of the best performing years the following year in 2010.
This time round, do you think a similar stimulus would work, given that we are in a totally different situation?
Definitely, stimulus packages have a place in economics, particularly when you're facing a recession. What we have right now is a bit different. The situation is a bit more urgent, and the techniques we used in 009 might not work right now, because there's a possibility we might go into a lockdown as early as this week, which means any stimulus package needs to be dispensed with at the earliest opportunity. For example, if we were to go into a lockdown on Friday, we have to ask ourselves, how many daily wage earners are dependent on the daily income? How can we cater for them? And that's why I think using mobile money to be able to sort of apply a stimulus measure might be one of the best ways. And think about it, the ordinary construction worker, he gets about maybe 300, 400 shillings per day. If you say the 16.4 million people who depend on daily wage earners, that gives you a number of about 6 billion shillings a day. So if you are to have a serious stimulus package, it would be almost 6 billion shillings a day. Even if it's a 2-week shutdown, that already takes you to about 83 billion shillings. So I think the 7 billion shillings that was launched last week was a start in the right direction, but it's definitely a drop in the ocean, given that most of these people come to town to be able to get that daily bread. I think secondly is, again, to look at the architecture of our mobile money. One of the things that we have in Kenya that other countries do not have is we have a high penetration of M-Pesa, of mobile money. So avoiding to go the traditional route where the central bank reduces interest rates, waits for banks to reduce the lending rates, which eventually reaches the ordinary person, that process might be too long. What we need right now is an emergency stimulus package deployed via mobile money and can be able to reach the last mile, if you like. Anything less would mean that we will be caught up in this crisis in a far more profound way than in Europe or in America, where they have a big savings rate, they have plenty of social safety nets. We don't have the comfort of those. So that's why I think that kind of novel, customized stimulus package would work for Kenya.
If we were to put a figure to the kind of stimulus needed, given that the measures that a central bank would take would not be effective, how much would you say we would need?
There'll be case by case, and each sector will be a bit different. Obviously, the hospitality sector, the airline sector, they are the most vulnerable, for example, and different businesses have approached it differently. We've seen KQ, for example, having some pay cuts, then promising to pay the employees sort of like the balance of the amount when the economy recovers. But I really think, thinking about the UK model, where they have requested employers to keep all the employees on the payroll, and they'll be paying about £2,300 for every employee. I think that's one of the best ways of making sure that nobody drops off the grid. I think if we had that kind of stimulus package, so that, yes, economy might not be operating at 100%, but if we can operate at 75%, I think still that would be a major step forward, given the tough times that we have right now. I think what we need is a stimulus package that goes to 3 types of categories. One is to the ordinary individuals, the wage earners. Number 2 is to the small businesses. And the good thing is, for example, like Safaricom has till numbers. We can be able to credit much of those till numbers for businesses for them to continue. Then number 3, we need a stimulus package for corporates. So the KQs, the big hotels that have seen massive cancellations, even they will need to have a major bailout package. So as they put together the raft of measures which the president has spoken about, we have to be able to see from the highly vulnerable segments to the corporates. Each of those segments operates independently and needs to be looked at in a particular specific way. Just assuming we are to go into a 2-week lockdown, for example, to be able to sustain 16.4 million wage earners on a daily wage of about 365 shillings, already that gives you 83 billion shillings that's needed just to sustain those people. Then you have to add now the small businesses. These are the events companies, hotel companies, the restaurants that are they're not really daily wage earners, but they're also not corporates. You might need another 100 billion. And of course, the corporates will definitely need the KQs of this world, the big hotels that are losing business. So we might see ourselves somewhere around 320, 330 billion stimulus package to be able to sustain. And that's assuming the lockdown is anywhere between 2 weeks to 1 month. If it goes to 90 days, we might see ourselves needing maybe almost over 500 billion shillings.
A lot of insight.